You're welcome back to the Gavel. Now, a few weeks ago, the federal government released a white paper on the report of the Presidential Committee on Restructuring and Rationalization of Federal Government Parastatals, Commissions and Agencies. Although the federal government rejected some of the recommendations in the Steve Oronsaye report, it accepted the recommendation of merging the Nigeria Airways Management Authority, NAMA, the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, and the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET. We sat down with the chairman, Senate Committee on Aviation, Senator Hope Uzodinma, to get his thoughts on this recommendation. Now, the Steve Oronsaye report has finally come out, and the presidency has already, selected some proposals in the report which will be implemented, one of which is the merger of the NCAA with some other aviation agencies. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about this merger?
We need to reach out to the larger spectrum of stakeholders and understand the workings in the industry. I didn't get the opportunity to speak to the Oronsaye committee, but I know that you cannot match the regulator with the operator. In the industry today, NCAA is the regulator. And you know that aviation is regulated globally. And the same business model that is obtainable in America, in Canada, in London, is what is expected to be obtainable here, going by the various conventions and agreements, going by the recommendations of ACAO, which is the umbrella body all over the world that is regulating really the aviation industry. I know that before we attend, some of the greatest achievement we've made in that industry today is the attainment of Cat 1 status by FAA of America. And a condition to the procurement of that Cat 1, the first condition precedent to each issuance was that you must have a regulatory body and there must be a legislation. And what is more, even when that legislation was put in place in 2006, the President of America then, President George Bush, wrote to our President, President Yaradua, requesting for his personal undertaking that the legislation and the NCAA, that the regulatory body, will not be tampered with, will be autonomous, and will be given free hands to follow the guidelines and compliance method in the international market. Our President wrote, apart from concurring to that request, wrote a personal undertaking. The then President did a personal undertaking that NCAA will be autonomous, NCAA will be allowed to regulate the industry, and on the strength of that, the FAA visited Nigeria, did their audit, and then wrote out a report that led to the issuance of Cat 1 status. So what I think is that there's nothing to panic about so that we don't send wrong signal to the market. What I think we should do is to remain calm and then be able to put our information together. And when we present our reasoning, I'm sure all stakeholders, including the presidency, will buy into it. NIMET is an operator. FAN is an operator. NAMA is an operator. But NCAA is the regulator. So the NCAA is the referee that catches you when you have committed foul or when you are not playing according to the rules. So if you make them to have an interest, it means that you are not expecting them to catch themselves. So they have to be autonomous. We are even saying that the MCA should be be included in the first line charge, where their monies must come direct from the Federation account. NCA is also an income earning agency because they collect royalties and taxes from operators.
Now, I know I keep on asking this question every time we see and we talk, and I say, since the Dana report was debated on the floor of the Senate and recommendations were made and passed, what has changed since that report was adopted by the Senate?
Going back to that report, I'm aware that at least over 50% of the recommendation of the Senate resolution have been carried out. And they are continuing, because looking at the appropriation of this year, we've seen that a lot of money is voted for training of aircraft engineers, inspectors, up to the expected standards by ICAO recommendations. So I think they are making efforts, very serious efforts, in ensuring that that report is completely implemented to the letter, because among other recommendations in that report, we have challenged the technical capacity of the NCAA staffing in terms of monitoring compliance, inspecting the aircrafts, ensuring that safety is not compromised in all operations. So I think that so far, from what we've seen or what I know, the report is being implemented.
Now, we know some Nigerians have, if you go on social media, even by word of mouth, we've seen Nigerians complain about the attitude or treatment which they receive from airlines. You have airlines treating customers shabbily, keeping them waiting for hours endlessly at the airports, cancelling flights. Have these issues, have they been brought before your committee? And what is your committee doing about this?
Yeah, we've gotten complaints like this, but during our investigation, we also had cause to discuss with some of the airlines and some of our Nigerian passengers. One, the mentality of our passengers sometimes does not allow for proper discussion with the airlines. Two, some of these airlines, have not properly trained all their staffs the way they should be. That brings me to the issue of consumer protection, which is also one of the responsibilities of NCAA. That consumer protection is key in the industry. Again, an aircraft that is built to fly probably may not have flown. One, maybe due to technical problems, maybe due to weather, maybe due to security challenges, but it is the responsibility of the airline to communicate and convey this in a very polite manner to the traveling passengers. If they have not done that, they are not living up to expectations. Again, the passenger in question should also take his complaint to the Consumer Protection Unit of NCAA, who also have the powers by the mandate of the Act to penalize airlines that are not protecting consumers. So some of these things were things that we discovered and called on NCAA to strengthen the Consumer Protection Unit, because that is the only way the passenger rights will be protected. That is the only way the traveling passenger will also feel comfortable. That is also the only way to compensate passengers who have been inconvenienced or are not pleased with the way they've handled their affairs in the course of their trip.
Now, we know we are experiencing a huge security challenge in Nigeria. So some Nigerians have raised concerns about how secure are the airports in the country, and what is your committee doing to further make sure that Nigerians are safe as they travel by air?
No, there is an integrated master plan for airport security going on there, because presently this remodeling that is going on in so many of our airports makes most of our airports now look like a construction site. So under that status, the security equipments and installations that are necessary to ensure at least 100% security proof airport is there. But I can tell you, as soon as the remodeling is completed and the airport is free and the contractor is allowed to do installations, they've procured most of the equipments that are needed. Airport security now is not only dependent on manpower alone. It is more of communication equipments, it's more of computerized equipment, it's more of electronic equipment. So I think that what we have done to bring an expert, the company that has been commissioned is well experienced, been long in the business. They've worked both in Europe and in America. And the moment they complete what they've been assigned to do, I'm sure all our passengers, travelers, stakeholders will be very confident and happy with the job they will do.